Now, for as much as I honestly did want to see Boston versus Denver in the finals, that wasn't in no way, shape, or form to kind of downplay the Heat, because in reality, they are the better basketball team as opposed to the Celtics. I just thought that would have been some elite basketball. Nevertheless, we got an 8th seed and the playing team in the NBA Finals going up against who I done held to be the best team in the league almost all season. And you know, there are plenty of people in my circle that think this series is about to be a complete and utter massacre. While it very well could be, I personally believe that Miami can match up well with Denver. And obviously having an elite head coach in Eric Spoelstra and one of the greatest players of all time in Jimmy Jeffrey Jordan, I think anything is possible. Which honestly should already be evidence from them dominating the number 1 seed and like fake dominating the number 2 seed as well. For the Heat, obviously they led by Jimmy. And for the most part, he has had a pretty elite playoff run. He's had his down games and things like that. But going up against Denver, I'm not really sure if they got anybody that can hold him for real. Aaron Gordon's probably going to be the initial and best option. And they do have a lot of other good perimeter defenders. But I don't know. If your name ain't been Jason Tatum in the playoffs, Jimmy ain't really cared who it was guarding him, to be honest. They also have the should-have-been MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals, Caleb Martin, former Charlotte Hornet, and to be honest, one of the few players in the league that I'm still living my basketball dreams through, because, you know, Charlotte still ain't talking about nothing. He's been playing absolutely out of his mind all playoff long, as well as their other undrafteds, Gabe Vincent, Duncan Robinson. And Bam, he's been utterly fantastic defensively, and he's left a lot to be desired for the most part offensively. But that's just who he is at this point, we can be honest. The biggest thing with the Heat isn't necessarily the talent on their roster. It's more so how they're coached and how they execute. They're really sharp both offensively and defensively, especially when they go to their zone. And to be honest, I don't really think they should break out the zone too much in this series. Going against somebody like Jokic, I don't know how effective that's going to be. He's just so well-rounded and smart that, you know, to beat a zone is not really that hard. You really just want to get middle or get some dribble penetration. Jokic really just going to find the open spot in the zone, stand there, get the ball, and go to work accordingly. It kind of really goes with what I've been saying about the Nuggets, that if you can get Jokic in the middle of the floor, uncontested, he's like unstoppable for real. The biggest matchup in the series is once again going to involve Jokic, and this time it's with Bam. Now, me personally, I'm knowing that Bam can hold up against Jokic for as long as he's not in foul trouble, which in all honesty probably will end up being for the majority of the series. But a lot of people seem to think that Jokic is going to slaughter Bam. And, you know, I think Bam too good for that. And history shows that Bam can do well against Jokic. He's not going to shut him down or nothing, but he going to do basically as good as you can do single coverage. It all remains to be seen, though. We also going to see if Miami tries to bite off LA, let Bam roam more so and put somebody else on ball against Jokic. The problem with them, to me, though, is I don't know who going to do that. You could try Jimmy, and, you know, that's cool and all, but, like, nah. Being that he does have to carry his load offensively, combined with the fact that he's just not going to be able to hold Jokic, I don't really think you should try that. And then the other bigs on their team don't even play no more, so I don't know how that will go. I think more so for Jimmy defensively, he'll play more of a free safety role, probably guarding Aaron Gordon or something like that. Because, you know, teams in the playoffs have loved picking off Aaron Gordon because he can't really shoot. We'll see what adjustments Denver will have for that potentially. In my head, Jimmy's going to take on a good amount of the Jamal Murray duty, probably later on in games to kind of conserve his energy. But I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to guard him a lot throughout however long the series lasts. And then the role players for the Heat going to continue to be crucial. Again, Caleb Martin's going to have to perform. The thing that makes them so effective to me is that they know they not the guy on the court or on the team, but they can always find their ways to get their buckets in the floor of the offense. Now, of course, Caleb Martin had his moments throughout the playoffs where he would just go, and the Heat are definitely going to need that in this series. But usually he gets his off catch and shoots, maybe a pump fake, he'll drive to the basket. There's always something being set up by somebody else. And I ain't really want to talk about Tyler Hero too much. Streets say he trying to come back by game 3. I don't just want to assume he's going to come back looking like himself. But if he does, obviously that's going to be a big boost for the Heat offensively. Defensively, it's quite horrid, but they can always find ways to cover up for their weaker perimeter defenders. I've decided I'll speak more on Tyler Hero when he comes back and depending on how he looks when he does so. I don't know. I just personally believe Miami can make this real interesting. Looking at how they roster built and how they coach, man, they can make anything happen. I ain't gonna lie. With all that being said, though, I kind of wasted y'all time a little bit because I do think Denver going to win this in a good 5 games. Maybe 6. Miami might be able to squeeze out too. But I think Denver's too much, bro. I don't really know how effective they're going to be in trying to hold their offense up. I did mention that they are built at least decently to contend with the Nuggets, but at the same time, overall, big picture, their roster is kind of small. And with all that being said, I am just going to assume that Bam's going to be in a lot of foul trouble in this series. And me personally, I don't feel too confident going to Kevin Love or Cody Zeller to guard Jokic. And the only other alternative outside of the zone, of course, is to put a smaller wing player on him and try and do a lot of the double teaming and stuff. But Jokic just shown time and time again he's almost impossible to double team, especially considering the effectiveness of all of their shooters from 3. So, I don't know. Maybe Miami can make it kind of nasty looking and ugly because that's their best recipe for success. It's just that Denver ain't really going for that all season long, so I don't know how it's going to play out for the Heat. Wouldn't be surprised if it gets extended to 6 or 7 games per se. I think every game is going to be relatively close and competitive, but the Nuggets is going to edge them out at the end of the day. If anybody can find a way to make some shake, though, it would be the Heat, so we'll see.